through the pain. And if you were going to be on for 4 hours, we might have to talk about it. But no,
Yeah.
no. I've
Okay.
I've been trying to stay. I'm supposed to stay off of it for 10 days, and it's been
Is it pulling
eight
up,
days.
Jackie? Is it pulling?
I don't know yet.
If
Let me go
not,
look.
I know Reverend King is kind of tired. We're gonna go ahead on and get started, and
Let's
we'll
get started.
and I'll just record.
Yeah, please record.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
All right, Reverend King, you making an impact around here. You got
You
people.
are.
You got people watching you, and people are really talking. I can honestly say that. Just to give you some feedback on what people are saying, is that they are grateful to you for educating voters. They are grateful that you are keeping your face out there, because I'm just gonna be honest. They were saying that they didn't really feel like they was gonna vote because they didn't really know, who to vote for. They didn't have a face to match up with outside of Beto running for governor. But
Ah,
this is not just one person saying this. So I don't want you to think it's just
No, it's
one
not.
person. This is what's being said. When people started seeing you ignited people to vote, more people than you know. So I don't want you to feel like what you are doing, everything that you are doing, is not in vain.
It is
You
not.
are touching people, and you are touching people outside of Texas. I've had people
Yes,
say,
yes.
in Louisiana, I can't vote for him, but man, I'm praying for him that he wins that. Mississippi, I mean, like
wow.
New
Hmm.
Mexico. I'm telling you, people are
California.
what?
I had someone in California
Yeah. Then we had the
Wow.
and
Maryland.
someone in Arizona. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
they're saying, I'm sorry I can't go vote for him, but I'm gonna go vote. I'm gonna make sure I vote this
Yes,
year
Ex-
yes.
because you have ignited them of the importance of voting.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, yeah, we are gonna do another historical broadcast kind of a thing about modern women voting because
Mm-hmm.
we
yeah,
need to get the women out to vote.
Yes,
So
yes.
sure.
I'm working on that. It'll be sometime this week. I can't tell you when because I'm
Mm-hmm.
still working on it.
Mm-hmm.
But we talked about a century ago. But let's talk about today.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the women today who need to get out and vote.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I'm going to see if I can't record some um, messages from different women about it.
Yeah.
I can't
sure.
promise because it's up to them. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to try.
So, what I wanted to do tonight, Reverend King, I posed the question because I've been hearing a lot of it, and me and Jackie been discussing it on democracy. What happens if we lose democracy? So here's what I want to do. We passing the mic. You started that. You know that, don't you? Yeah, you did. Like for real. When you did the
You're the first.
Galveston County address, and God sent me
That's what
that
we called it.
message, and that's what it came out
Yeah.
to. Pass the mic. So,
You,
guess what's gonna happen tonight? Myself and
Oh,
Jackie,
wow.
we gonna pass the mic, and we want you to address democracy.
mhm.
I know you're
Sure.
gonna talk about other things, but from what me and Jackie are seeing, a lot of people don't understand what's gonna happen if we lose democracy. So tonight, hate to put you on the spot, but we gonna pass the mic. Is it okay with you?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
I first want to say good evening to your listening, viewing audience. Good evening to everyone who is watching us tonight. It's such an honor to be on the Electra James Inspirational Talk Show with Electra James and with Jacqueline. It's just a privilege over the last several weeks to have been able to have interaction and conversations with them. And then they've created another component of their show where they're passing the mic. Today, I had an interesting conversation with one of the local pastors in the unincorporated area of Galveston County. Well, we're going to be having National Night Out here in the Moore's Edition. And he had indicated several people were contacting him in regards to my running for Galveston County Judge, as to what credentials I may or may not have for that particular position. And certainly, let me quickly engage that question, just in the event that your audience may have the same question. The Galveston County Judge position, if you go to my social media site, I have multiple videos that I've done to educate voters so they can have the adequate, accurate information, so that we are able to accurately engage the voting process. The Galveston County Judge position is not a criminal or civil judge position. It's not a JP judge position. Therefore, the Galveston County Judge position is an administrative position with the responsibilities of maintaining a budget for Galveston County, focusing on roads, bridges, drainage system, and the services of leadership for the managing of the meetings of the Galveston County Commissioners Court, as the person who leads or moderates the meeting, who prepares the agenda for the meetings, and therefore is an administrative position. You do not have to have a law degree to become a Galveston County judge. Now, there are some counties that are really small in size, and that particular judge is the judge for the criminal and the civil cases. And it is necessary that that particular judge have a law degree. In Galveston County, we're hovering around 350,000 people. So we elect our own district judges, civil and criminal. We elect our own JP judges. So they handle those court cases of that particular magnitude. So therefore, the judge for Galveston County focuses on the departments. Galveston County elects its own sheriff, elects its own treasurer, elects its own clerk. And so as a result, that particular body of Galveston County has an elected leadership. That leadership for their particular body is required to come to the county judge for financing or for budget needs for that particular department. And so the DA's office, the Galveston County elects its own DA. And so the DA would come to the judge for employees, attorneys that are being appointed to cases. If someone doesn't have legal representation, then the DA's office would have an attorney appointed to that case. So as a result, they elect their own DA, their own sheriff, their own clerk, their own treasurer, etc. And then those particular elected officials govern those particular departments. Now, the Galveston County judge can have some influence because he controls the purse, he controls the money as far as budgeting is concerned, along with the commissioners that are on the commissioner's court. And so you don't have to be an attorney to be a commissioner of Galveston County Commissioner's Court. And so what is important is that you have some knowledge, some skill, some experience. And that's why I come in. I'm a 21-year city councilman for the city of Dickinson. I'm a mayor pro tem multiple times. I've worked in the city to balance budgets, to fund departments, to cut taxes, to be able to maximize monies for taxpayers in the city of Dickinson, so that we have a water district and a city, and we're able to bring those two government entities under one roof, thereby maximizing the dollars of facilities. Rather than building two separate facilities, we build one facility that accommodates both entities, maximizing the taxpayers' dollars. So that's showing leadership and prudency and stewardship in the fiduciary responsibilities of managing taxpayers' monies. We also built a fire station on the east side of Galveston, of the city of Dickinson. So the families that live on the east side of the railroad tracks will be able to have a lower fire rating, because the only fire station was on the west side of the fire tracks. And so if you had a fire at the same time a train was crossing, then the fire truck couldn't cross the tracks, thereby getting to that location to put out the fire. causing those residents on the east side to have a higher fire rating, therefore paying higher premiums on their fire insurance. And so it's just wise leadership as an elected officials to do what you can to lower the expenses of your residents in your jurisdiction. And that's exactly what we did. We built a fire station on the east side of the fire track, of the railroad tracks, so that if a fire does happen while a train is passing, then that fire truck can still get to any personal property or a commercial property and resolve the problem with the fire, and thereby lowering the fire rating for those residents and properties on the east side of the fire tracks. And that's the kind of leadership we bring to the table, is the one that is able to be proactive in strategizing and utilizing skills to help taxpayers save as much as they possibly can. And so not only we built fire stations, now we built city halls and facility for water district. We built libraries so that our young people can, in school, can have a place to go with programming and services and resources. And we created incentives for various businesses through our economic development. Through Dickinson Management District, we're able to provide greater resources for businesses and for the city needs by utilizing wisdom as a elected official. Street maintenance sales tax is another entity that we brought to the city of Dickinson. Having a animal services in Dickinson, we were paying thousands of dollars to the county for animal services needs, whether it be dog collection or whether it be dogs that are loose that have been prone to attack individual citizens. And so we were able to utilize that leadership, that wisdom, that common sense leadership, and build our own animal resource services, and then collaborate with other local municipalities that were smaller than ours who need the same services, partnership, thereby reducing the cost of those services for them and for the residents, because we would not be taking that entire cost on our citizens as a budget item. And so that's why I, William H. Keenan III, your candidate for Galveston County Judge, have demonstrated I have the credentials, not just 21-year city councilman, but also 27-year police chaplain, also a 15-year chaplain for the Dickinson High School football team, an 8-year member of the board of the Houston Galveston Council, where we brought billions of dollars to our region of counties, 13 counties in Galveston County, around Galveston County, that were part of this particular leadership effort, which we were able to provide methods of distribution so that other local county judges, county commissioners, school board trustees, mayors, city council members could have resources to address their issues during Hurricane Ike and Hurricane Harvey. And then to my own city, brought millions of tens of millions of dollars to the city by being on the board of HGAC, providing leadership, fair, honest leadership with veracity, integrity, so that we're doing the right thing. And that's what you get, a person with integrity, a person with honesty, when you elect William H. King as your next Galveston County Judge. And so you get someone who's qualified, that have demonstrated leadership. I went through the Texas Municipal League Institute to get my Leadership Academy certification. I'm going through school, college, seminary to get my degree as a pastor. 30 years of service I brought to the leadership of this church, this community, providing resources to this community during Hurricane Harvey, during the pandemic. Leadership is necessary and imperative to be able to perpetuate a community's progress and success, where you can be excited about where you live, excited about the location where you reside. And that's the kind of leadership you get with William H. King III, and that's extremely important, because with the current county judge, we are paying higher taxes. With the current county judge, we were gerrymandered out of our ability to vote. Our precinct was cut up to the degree where we had a majority minority precinct, so that you have taxation with representation, so that you could always have a representative of your liking or choosing on the court for Galveston County Commissioner's Court. This particular judge, with a lack of veracity, lack of integrity, lack of sincerity, chose to go party over people. And so that's the sad part about it. When you go party over people, you don't care who you cut out, and you cut out people that deserves representation. So he took a district that was majority minority, and then took and made it a 55% party precinct, and so making it impossible for a minority to ever be able to have the majority of votes to elect someone of their choice to represent them. And so that's the sad state of affairs. You're paying higher taxes. You've been gerrymandered out of your vote. Your vote has literally been taken away from you. And that's a sad state of affairs, that whenever we lose democracy in Galveston County or in the state of Texas, because a party is exercising bully pulpit and exercising a strong arm leadership style, then you will forget about the people that you were elected to represent. You might get elected by the party, but you can't govern like the party. You have to govern for all citizens doing the right thing. And that's one thing I certainly appreciate, that my track record, my legacy as a city councilman is I always listen to my constituents, my citizens, those that came into City Hall, those that called me or emailed. I always gave them a listening ear, and I always moved in a manner that respected their position. And when you have a county judge who does not care about the people that he represents, he only works on behalf of the party for which he was elected, he forgets about his number one priority, to be a leader for all the people, to maintain veracity, maintain integrity, to maintain being trustworthy, maintain the ability to be able to do the right thing. And so as a result, your democracy governs that. Democracy is the ability for you to be able to live in a nation where you can exercise your freedom of speech, exercise your freedom of existence, and as a citizen of this country. Listen, our nation fought for its independence. 1776, we won our independence and celebrated our independence. We wrote the Declaration of Independence. Men signed the Declaration of Independence. We wrote our Constitution, and men signed the Constitution. And thereby it governs how we live as a nation. One nation under God, endowed by credit with such inalienable rights of liberty, justice, and the freedom of justice and speech. And so we have this right as citizens in the country of the United States of America, the most democratic country in the nation on the face of the earth is America. We represent democracy, not autocracy, but democracy, where people can be able to elect someone or speak or have a voice concerning the issues pertaining to their quality of life, their locale, their county, their state, their nation. That's why our democracy is so important. And so if you lose your democracy, such what just happened on January the 6th, when men and women went to the Capitol of the United States of America, claiming that the election was stolen somehow, when we had already had major court rulings from the Supreme Court to district courts to state courts to local courts that their election process was filled with integrity and it was filled with accuracy, and there were no illegal ballots that were cast that should not have been cast by a person that was not authorized to vote. But yet they believed that ideology because it was being perpetuated by a leader that had been elected out of office of president of the United States, and therefore he had to leave the White House and did not want to leave the White House. So as a result, he convinced people through all the individuals he had around him that the election had been rigged, it wasn't real, and that he had won the election. Yes, more people voted in the last presidential election than in the history of the United States. And maybe that alarmed him to think that if all those people voted, somehow they voted for him. But he lost by not 1,000 votes, not by 10,000 votes, not by 100,000. He lost by millions of votes. And so he lost by a large margin of votes. And so it was clear that Joe Biden won the election, but yet he continued to perpetuate an untruth, and people believed him, thinking that somehow the election was stolen. He convinced them to travel from their homes to Washington, D.C. and fight like hell, was what we heard, and fight him. So I'm grateful for the committee of the January 6th that have unearthed all of this data and this information that collaborates and corroborates the reality that these lies were intended to rile the people that were a part of his base and be able to go into somehow to the Capitol while the Senate and the House was validating the votes and say, we refuse to accept those votes. He tried to convince the Vice President of the United States of America somehow that he had the power to overturn the votes. Goodness gracious, we're in the United States of America, and a sitting president is trying to tell someone how to overturn the country he was representing. Makes no sense. It's ludicrous. But yet he stood for what was right. He refused to do so. And then he told the people that Mike Pence wasn't loyal, that Mike Pence wasn't committed. And as a result, the crowd was so riled up, they said, hang Mike Pence. Can you imagine wanting to hang the vice president of the United States, who was still sitting as the vice president? Look for elected officials, called out their names. Where are they? Went into the chambers of the House of Representatives, chambers of the Senate, went into the offices of the elected officials and just did all sorts of unconscionable things and trying to overturn the election, trying to rob us of our democracy. That would have taken away the legitimacy of Joe Biden's election. It would have turned this nation on end, and there would have been so much chaos. The sad part about it, not one National Guard was called, not one military branch was called. Matter of fact, they were suppressed from being called. All of that stuff was unearthed through the investigation of the committee. So we would have lost our democracy to have free and fair elections where we can elect someone of our choice. We can cast our ballot. And the democracy is that every vote counts. Whether you're voting for a Democrat or Republican or an independent, or whether your election is a city council and it's a nonpartisan election, or a school board and it's a nonpartisan election, then you would have lost your ability to elect someone of your choice to represent your values. You lost your ability to be able to speak out and stand up for what you believe in. One of the greatest liberties we have is our freedom of speech. And so when you lose your democracy, you lose your ability to have a voice, because your vote is your voice. And therefore you receive your commands from some autocracy, some person who's sitting in a kingship position. We fought for independence to get away from that style of government and leadership, to be able to elect our own leader as the president, elect our own senators, our own House of Representatives, our own governors, our own state senators, our own state House of Representatives, our own county judges, our own leaders in our school districts, as far as the school boards is concerned. We have the ability to do that. You lose democracy, people appoint who they want to represent you, and it's not designed, our Constitution is not designed for them picking us. We pick them. And so it would have unearthed all of the values that we've enjoyed. They could tell you you have to go be at home inside your house by a certain time. They can establish curfews. They can establish where you can work, where you can't work. They can establish where you can live. And in this nation, there was a period during slavery and after slavery that blacks could only live in certain areas. And matter of fact, some of the deeds had on the documents that blacks could even purchase land in certain areas. And so in an autocracy, you tell people what to do. People don't decide what they want to govern themselves and how they want to govern themselves and the laws for which is created. Right now, we have a voice in the laws that are created. We can speak and say what we do want, what we don't want, and then it's taken to a vote. And then based upon the amendments that are the propositions on the ballot, we vote either yay or nay, but we do have a voice. That's the whole issue of democracy, is that as a citizen, you are allowed to have a voice to participate in the process of your existence. Being in a country where you exist, in a nation where you have no voice, is basically taking you backwards 150 years and saying you're pretty much in a slavery kind of situation where we tell you what to do, where you tell you how to live, we tell you how to be governed, and we demand upon you what you must do as far as your life is concerned. And so it's important for you and I to maintain our democracy in America. So I'm calling every man, every woman, every 18-year-old, every 17-year-old, 10-month person to register to vote, to be registered to vote, and then to vote, because our democracy is great. When you have those type of untruths being perpetuated, and then you have a process of a state legislator and a governor and a county judge coming together to try to create whatever restrictions they think deemable or necessary to keep people or restrict people or make voting so unpleasant that people don't go to the ballot box, then they've accomplished their objective. They don't want you to vote. They say, oh, voting is nothing, but voting is valuable. Voting is sacred. Voting is important. Voting is necessary, that we can continue to live in a free and fair country where we govern ourselves accordingly to the laws that we all agree to. That's how important it is. It determines how many stores you have in your community, how many gas stations you have in your community. It determines what time your kids start school. It determines what type of restaurants you have in your community. It determines what type of dealerships you allow in your community. It determines what kind of businesses you have in your community. It through zoning and through all of the factors that govern with how a particular elected body determines they want that particular municipality to function. How that school board trustees determine what times they want that school to start, who they hire, where the schools will be built. All that's determined through the democracy of being able to elect people of our choice that represents our values, so we can have a life and a quality of life that everyone can enjoy. So when you rob a people of their democracy, a country without a democracy says we don't want certain kids going to certain schools. We don't want certain kids riding on certain buses. We don't want certain kids participating in certain programs. We don't want certain stores that provide certain resources for certain individuals. We don't want those products being sold out of this store. We only want those products being sold 100 miles from here. So these individuals have to travel 100 miles to get what they want. It literally changes the demographics. It changes the destiny. It changes the trajectory of that particular society. And so if you have a nation without democracy, then you have a certain police chief. And that police chief is dictated to by whoever hires him. And we don't want certain laws exercised in this particular community. And we want these particular type of people stopped and pulled over. We want eliminate probable cause, just stop them just because they're in our community, driving through. All forms of crazy, idiotic, ludicrous policies will be developed, and those policies will be implemented, and it will change the lifestyle of millions of Americans here in the United States of America. Without democracy, we cannot afford to go backwards. We cannot afford to lose our democracy. We cannot afford not to have democracy. Can you imagine being told you can't buy a house in a community that your money can afford? Can you imagine being told that the bank will not loan you money? The bank will not loan you money as a result of your color of your skin, or a result of your gender, as a result of your nationality. It's so extremely important to know that our democracy is imperative, that we maintain our democracy in the United States of America. And so I encourage you that we gotta fight. And we gotta fight like our lives depend on it. And when I say fight, I mean going to the ballot box. That's where you fight at. That's where you make your voice known at. That's where you say enough is enough. We're not going to put up with it another month, another year, another day. We're going to the ballot box come October 24th through November the 4th, and we're going to vote. And if we don't make it, then on November the 8th, election day, we're going to the polls and we are going to vote. We're going to vote because that's our voice. And we're going to vote like our lives depend on it. Because what we've seen already is the state legislators writing legislative laws that says you can't carry more than 7 people to the polls. You got to have these type of IDs if you're going to vote. Certain things. And then on the federal level, we've seen the Senate of the United States held hostage because they refused to get rid of the filibuster because can't get enough votes to vote in the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act. They can't get an H.R. 1 passed. Those protections that the Supreme Court gutted in 2013 that provided oversight so the Department of Justice could always make sure we have fairness in our electoral process. And so I just want to make sure you understand we've got to vote like our lives depend on. We got to vote like there is no tomorrow. We got to vote like it's so necessary that we enjoy the democracy and the quality of life that our Creator gave us and that our Constitution enabled us to have. Vote, and don't let anyone deter you, deny you, or delay you from getting to the polls. And although this county judge has made it so that the largest company in the county of Galveston has lost their voting poll location, we're still going to vote. And we encourage those doctors and those employees to go to the nearest polling place during their lunch when they get off work, before they get off work on Saturday, on Sunday, and vote. Yes. Don't let nobody stop you. Take the polling location, find another polling location. They tell you can't carry more than 7, carry 7 every hour, and vote, and vote, and vote. And let your voice be heard until Washington, D.C. here. Let your voice be heard until Austin here, and the governor here, and the senators here, and the House of Representatives here. And they know we say enough is enough.
Yes.
We're going to stick with democracy.
Yes.
You know what? I want to tell you something. Reverend King, I want to tell you something. And I know, I'm sorry, Electra, I interrupted. I didn't mean to.
Just fired up right
That's
now.
okay.
Do you
Fired
know
up and ready to go.
that when democracy in our country really started with George Washington, President George Washington, and if you don't know, you should be embarrassed. He was the first president of the United States. And
Absolutely.
when he gave his farewell address, because he had lost the election and was, you know, handing over the Oval Office, or it wasn't the Oval Office at the time, but it was handing over the presidency. He gave a farewell address and he said, we need to live in this Constitution that we made. And this Constitution that
Yeah.
we made guarantees a smooth transition of power from
Oh,
one
yeah.
government to the next. And it was
Yes.
because there were people at the time that he was president who were crying out and saying, just go ahead and be our king. Let's just go ahead and make George Washington our king. And he said no.
Yeah, that was,
He said no.
yes.
We
No.
decided on a democracy. And do you know that from George Washington until Donald Trump, we had
Yeah.
a peaceful
Yeah.
transition of
Smooth
power.
no matter who lost,
No matter who
smooth
lost, smooth transition of power. That is democracy.
that is democracy.
And yet, all of a sudden, somebody decided to have a tantrum. Boo, mommy, I didn't make the re-election. Sorry, that's my opinion of it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's Reverend King's opinion or Alexa's opinion.
Yeah.
If you can ask me, I will stick with that opinion. Somebody decided to have a temper tantrum, and with his temper tantrum, he incited, for the first time in American history, a rebellion against peaceful transfer of power.
Yes.
Let's think about that, people. What is a democracy? A democracy depends upon the peaceful transfer of power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's vote. Let's vote and make sure we keep our democracy, that we keep
Yeah.
our country valid,
Well, we have choices. Well, we have choices.
where we have to, and just like Reverend King was saying,
Absolutely.
when
Absolutely.
you stop, when, you know, and I know that there are people out there who say, oh, I'm sick and tired of not being able, of having to decide who's going to fix the potholes. I'm sick and tired of having to decide who's going to pick up the trash. But you know what? If the people who run for office get sick and tired, and you let them continue in that office, then you have taken part in the destruction of democracy.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we have kept democracy alive for this long. Do not give it away. Don't hand it away. We fought
Please,
for it.
please,
We
Exactly.
fought for it.
Exactly.
And yes, there were problems. Our country has had problems. You know, we went through a civil war. We've gone through, the Great Depression. We've gone through September 11th.
And the Civil War was after the Declaration.
The Civil War was, yes,
Mm.
after.
Because the democracy was being threatened at that particular time based upon economics.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. And when you don't understand what threats there are to democracy, then you don't understand democracy. Yes, we have a bad history,
Yeah.
but who doesn't? History
Yeah.
exists for us to learn from. And yes, I understand that history is written by the victors, but believe me, stories of the losers are out there.
Yeah.
Listen to
Yes.
them.
That's what
Yeah.
I
Sorry, I
like
get fired
about.
up about this.
That's
Okay. Well, Reverend King fires everybody up.
He does. He does.
Reverend King, you got us fired up and ready to go. I'm telling you. I want to vote so bad, I don't know what to do.
vote for King. And do the right thing and vote for King, right?
That's
do the
right.
right thing and vote for
That's
County
right.
Judge.
That's right.
KingForCountyJudge.com.
Mhm.
Do the right thing.
CountyJudge.com. All right.
You have somebody who always respect the rule of order, who always respect the law. Someone who always respect the rule of order, doing the right thing. That's William H. King.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
I
Thank you
thank
very
you
much.
so much, Reverend King, for breaking this down on tonight. And you didn't know I was gonna pass the mic, did you?
Off guard, Electra. You called me up. But it,
Me
great.
and Jackie, we got so excited. Like, man, Reverend King, he done started something. Pass the mic.
Mhm.
But Reverend King, you
That's
have no idea. When you putting that information out there, people are like sponges and they're soaking it up. And they're saying, I didn't know that. You educated me.
Wow.
And Jackie is a historian, so she just got all this
Yeah.
information in her head, and I go to her a lot. And when y'all two get together, that's why I just sit back. I'm do like my daughter say, Reverend King be he cat lacking, you cat lacking. So I would just sit back and I would just. But I get so.
Let me, if I could take a
Go
moment,
ahead, it's your show.
if I could take a moment, Electra, I know you're closing your show, but again, thank you and Jacqueline for allowing me to be on your show. Thank you for letting me have the mic. But let me encourage all your viewers, all your voters, no matter where you live, what state you live in, what county you live in, vote from the top of the ticket to the bottom of the ticket.
Okay.
Whoever's on the top of your ticket, your governor or your state senator, vote from the top of the ticket to the bottom of the ticket.
Okay.
If it's your county judge, if it's your House of Representative personality, or if it's your district attorney, whoever those persons might be, vote for each and every office that's on your ballot, from the top of the ticket to the bottom ticket. It's going to take every one of us being elected to turn this ship around.
Yeah.
I've been told when you're driving a big ship, you can't turn around on a dime. You have to go way out and then turn. And so it's going to take all of us being elected to turn this nation back in the right direction,
Yes.
to make a true change. And I'm asking you, I'm praying, I'm begging you, vote. Don't walk out of the booth or the polling machine with just voting for one person or one position. Vote from the top of the ticket to the bottom of the ticket, from the governor or from their senators, your congressional representatives, all of your district judges, your appellate judges. Vote for all of the positions on your ballot in your locale and cast your ballot. Don't be afraid to go to the polls. You control your vote. The ball is in your court. You are in charge in the ballot box, in the polling place. You determine who you vote for. No one else but you. And you go in there with courage. You go in there with shoulders spread broad and go with your head lifted up and say, this is who I'm going to vote for. I've got a slate of candidates and I'm going to vote for them and I'm going to vote my voice and nobody's going to stop me. You don't need to know how many beans is in a jar. You don't have to pay a poll. All you need to do is go in with your ID and they'll give you a ballot. You cast your ballot, you feed the machine and cast your ballot. The machine will release your ballot. You go to another polling machine, you feed the ballot into that machine, and then you cast your ballot. It goes into a box, and your vote is complete. You in control. Don't be afraid. King for County Jewish Doctor.
Reverend King, don't you have a training coming up this Saturday?
I had one today. Now this Saturday, I'm canvassing in Galveston again. And I did one today. I showed the video. And here's what you can do. Go to YouTube.
Okay.
Go to YouTube and type in how to use the voting machine in Galveston County. It's going to pull up Harris County. It's a 1 minute, 30-second video. It shows you how to feed the ballot into the voting machine.
I'm gonna put that in the comments.
Great.
What's the website?
Go to YouTube. Get to YouTube, then type in how to use the new voting machines in Galveston County.
Okay.
How to use the new voting machines in Galveston County.
All right.
It's going to put Harris County, because Galveston hadn't uploaded its video yet. So it's going to pull up Harris County. It's the same machine. It's the same information. Watch it. It's about a minute and 30 seconds long. It will show you how to bring it, walk into the station, polling location.
Mm-hmm.
It will show you, show them your ID.
Mm-hmm.
It will find you in the, it will print out your voting number. It will give you a ballot. You will go to that machine. You'll enter that number. It will pull up your ballot. You'll feed the machine with the paper ballot they gave you.
Mm-hmm.
You'll go from the top to the bottom of the ticket, voting for each position. Once you're satisfied, it will let you review your votes, who you voted for.
Mm-hmm.
If everything is correct, it will pass your ballot. It will ink your ballot with the people you voted for. That will be fed back out to you. Don't pull it out. Just let it feed all the way out.
Mm-hmm.
Let it come all the way. And then you just take it out of the machine, walk over to the casting on your ballot machine, feed that ballot in the machine. It will ask you, are you ready to cast your ballot?
Mm-hmm.
You'll say yes or no. If you're ready, you hit yes. It will cast your ballot and it will lower your ballot into a ballot box, which will be a paper document of your vote. So they will have a digital document and they will have a paper. Those two documents at the end of the day have to match.
Okay. Okay.
They have to.
Got it.
And those votes will be processed and everyone will know who received the majority of the votes. 50% plus one determines the winner. 50% plus one determines.
Okay. Okay. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Reverend King. Thank you.
I'm gonna say this before we get off tonight, Reverend King. So here's what I think we need to do, since you're gonna be coming on, leading up to probably that week before the election. What I would
October
like
24th.
Yeah, what I would like to do is when
17.
you come on, pass you the mic for the first 30 minutes. Because whatever information that you need to get out there, we need to make sure that this is a space for you to get your information out there. So just keep in mind, from this point on, when you come on, the first 30 minutes, we're going to pass the mic to you. So if you're doing something, we're going to wait for you to get on here because this is crucial. It's crucial. And you're putting too much information out here for us to lose it. Go ahead.
That's right. Yeah. I was just going to say, and Reverend King, don't hesitate if you want to read off a few voting places every time. You know, I mean, we've got that recorded from when you did that, but it don't hurt to say, hey, did you know there's a voting place here for early voting? Hey, this is where you can vote if you wait until November Tuesday. It won't hurt if you want to read those off a little bit when you're talking too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's 24 voting locations for early voting, and there are 28 voting locations on election day.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
We'll do.
Okay. All right then. We have truly enjoyed you tonight. Conversations with the candidate. One more time, you've informed us. Keep this in mind, and viewers that see this, that Reverend King, the candidate for Galveston County Judge, he from this point forward will have 30 minutes at the beginning of each segment. We're going to pass that mic, and then we'll come in and kind of do like we did on tonight, and just, you're still talking, but we just kind of join you. Is that okay with you? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Great leadership. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. So we will see you next Monday for sure.
Yes.
7:30. Looking forward to it.
7:30.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. And please share this message with everyone you know. Share it.
Yeah.
Will do.
We'll do.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Recording
Bye-bye.
stopped.
Excellent. Great show.
Great show.